That can get you in some bad situations when you're moving too fast to like really even observe what's going on in your own life.
Good morning. I'm Savannah Razor. I recently quit my corporate job. Long story behind that, but today I am going to be beginning the largest painting I've done thus far on this bad boy behind me. And I also got my first real wet palette, where before I was creating my own DIY situation. Let me go get it. It's like 50 cents. You can get these around back to school time. It worked pretty well for my smaller paintings. What I did was I poured a little bit of water in here, folded up a couple paper towels, and then put a piece of parchment paper over. It's just pretty small, so the colors would get really mixed. Yeah, so now I need to figure out how to use this bad boy, because I actually got pretty comfortable with my DIY situation. Pretty much gonna be the same thing, except sponge instead of paper towels, and yeah, this nice paper instead of parchment paper. But to be honest, once I run out of this paper that they gave, I think I'm gonna try using parchment paper again. I don't know. Let me know if anyone, I don't know, has any thoughts on that. Interestingly, it wants me to use hot water and let it soak for 15 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes. I also rinsed it a few more times in hot water just to be safe. Make sure it stays wet. I wonder why they can't use the name Stay Wet. Lube industry? Who's my audience? We can always add more water later if we need to. Okay, so I've been planning on painting this for a while, and I already have a little bit of an idea of like how I'm gonna go about this, and I'll tell you about it, but let me get started on paint mixing. I also got acrylic medium for the first time. I don't know, how much medium are you supposed to use? Oh, that seems good. Oh, we need more. I do not like to put out more paint than I need. I think that's my toxic trait. I am gonna need to mix some more paint. Since I quit my job, I've been painting geese. But it's because my grandma Jojo, she loved geese. Specifically, like the white goose with the bow. So I painted 3 of those as gifts for my family for Christmas, and now this is kind of a bit of a spin-off from that because I don't think I'm going to do the bows. But it's just, I don't know, I've had this vision of this painting for a while, and I'm finally doing it, and yeah, hopefully it works out, because I, again, haven't used this big of a canvas before, and I'm a little intimidated and worried, but no, I'll try not to worry. That's not good for the painting. Alright, let's see how these did overnight. I mixed the beak color and the background green, or the green detail, last night, but then it got too dark to continue and I was too tired. And I woke up feeling quite sick, but that's also quite normal for me. Not too sure if I'm liking the greens that I mixed anymore. So, I don't know. I might have to change some things up today. Getting the cutest video right now. It's been a couple weeks
since I wrapped up the goose painting, I kind of consider this a wrap to the goose series I've been working on. It's kind of served as proof that I can do something like this. And I think I already knew that deep down, and I took that chance on myself to give myself some space to, figure out who I am as an artist. And I'm on that journey. So I think painting is slowly, and mind you, slowly teaching me patience. Also, it's been interesting to work on this painting since setting some goals for myself. One of the biggest goals is just staying in touch with my goals. But there's kind of three practices that I'm trying to take with me into like the rest of my life, and also into my art practice. And the first thing is intention, just being intentional. So that looks like in life, waking up and just setting a purpose for the day. It doesn't have to be big. It can be, it should be with kindness to myself. And I think that's where I've got intention wrong in the past. Sometimes you need to paint without intention, but maybe that can be the intention. Number 2 is slowing down. So, coming from a corporate world, I have been moving very fast. And even if I'm not moving fast, there's this like speedy sense in your world. And that can get you in some bad situations when you're moving too fast to like really even observe what's going on in your own life. So slowing down has been big. I think I don't know, maybe I could have done a little more of that in this painting, to be honest. And number 3 is stepping back. And I think that this is really simple, but really a game changer. And again, this applies to both life and my art journey. So stepping back and painting, literally, it looks like stepping back. And I think in the video you could see me doing a lot of that. And I think that's kind of important as for any artist, to find ways to remember to step back. How I remember this is by literally like writing on the walls. It's like my window, I write on it with whiteboard markers. So, stepping back, and then stepping back in life is important. How I've been trying to do this, and I've admittedly fallen off the path quite a bit in recent weeks, but I try to set a meeting with myself once a week on Fridays, and reassess my goals. And I specifically revisit the same, like I've got some papers, physical papers, and then I put it into a Canva whiteboard. So I'm writing things down. I'm referencing old notes. I'm trying to stay aligned on that. And like I said, I've fallen off the path. So trying to get back on track. But yeah, after I'm done filming this piece, I actually brought supplies to work on this week's meeting with myself. So like some of the things that I think back to each time is reassessing, like, when do I have the most energy and how do I want to use that? When do I want to use social media? Why? How do I stay in touch with all these goals? So, what are my overarching goals? What are my actionable goals? What is my body telling me? And that's been a big one. That's another thing written on my window, is just listen to your body. Listening to my body has been really the essence of this whole journey. A little bit about me and about my life is I've struggled with chronic pain really since I was a kid, but it escalated a lot after I turned like 18. So I've kind of lived my life just completely overriding every signal my body sends me. It's kind of my baseline to ignore the signals my body is sending me. When I was going to work, I was having fevers every single day, and I didn't think, oh, this is something I should listen to. I thought, wow, my body is betraying me. And I just have to push through and I have to keep doing the thing, when really I was the one betraying my body. So, giving it a shot. I'll admit I don't feel healed in really the slightest bit, but I'm trusting the process and keeping on with this journey. Oh, I guess a little bit more about this painting. The reference image actually came from just an internet search. I was just looking up geese, This picture is a listing to buy geese, in fact, and I think it's kind of funny. They look very cornered. I think the feeling of this painting is kind of I hope it conveys a sense of being kind of cornered. I stepped into it with the intention of painting the reference image, but also open to the magic of art. And I do think that there is a magic to art. I think if you have felt it, then you know what I mean. But otherwise you might just call it whimsy, or something. I don't know. But it's there. I've heard other artists say this, and I know it to be true myself, but the painting will tell you what it needs. So, you can set out with whatever idea you have, but ultimately you have to lend yourself to the magic of art, I guess. I don't know. And maybe I'm romanticizing a human experience. I do think the human experience is very interesting, and I think that's what I want to paint more about next and what I have started to work on. I think a lot of life is just really, as a human, making sense of our consciousness, or trying to, and really never being able to, or maybe the journey is really to let go of that. I don't know. I know it's very hard to be alive. Tying back in chronic illness to the painting, to do so, we have to bring back in Grandma Jojo, because Grandma Jojo was chronically ill and had chronic pain. And now I'm starting to, go through some of the things that she might have gone through, or did go through. And I just, feel close to her through that, and wish that I don't know, there's just like a lot of reflecting to do there. It's not like I'm coming to any conclusions about life. It's more been a journey of just sitting with it. So I guess grieving women's pain, grieving the questions unanswered, the blood tests unran, the questions unasked by people who don't believe women's pain. And I know my grandma understood that feeling, and I wish I could tell her that I understand it, because I don't think, maybe she knew. I think she knew, but that's what I'd want to tell her, is I see you. I see. But then, I don't know, maybe I'm just putting, empathy. I think empathy is really just you projecting how you would feel in that situation, and how I would feel in her situation, is how I do feel. And I don't know if I'll, go into much more detail than that, but that's all here. So.